Hello, Gus. Welcome to
Hello.
Beta Talks.
Hello. How are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine and dandy.
Okay,
Super
cool.
excited.
Awesome. So you are my episode number 16.
Okay.
So it's pretty cool. I haven't had that many TPs. So please, you want to share your full type just to see exactly who you are
Yes.
or your
So
type.
I yes. So my full type is double feminine SETI consume play sleep blast.
Right. Yeah. Um, I think Ryan, do you know Ryan from the community?
I have a hard time with names. I remember people's types.
Okay, yeah, right.
I think I
Feminine.
think I think I kind of remember.
Yeah, I think he's like super close, maybe even the
Is he
same exact.
TISE?
No, he's actually SETI.
Oh, okay.
There are different Ryans. Yeah. Well,
Oh,
anyways,
okay.
let's move on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, you are a standard ESTP, so not a jumper.
Yeah.
Cool. So tell me a little bit more about your journey with typology. Like when were you
Yeah.
typed? Did you know about, types before OP and so forth?
Yeah, sure. So we'll start off with like the whole typing journey, like where I got started. So obviously, like I got started with Myers-Briggs, and then I kind of fell into the objective personality rabbit hole on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
But so I submitted or I recorded my video in 2020, and I got my type results back on August 1st of 2020.
Okay.
And then I had another interview with Kendrick in March of 21. So yeah, so I've had some time to like think about my type. But yeah, it started with the 16 personalities.
Right. And what did you get
Yeah.
there back then?
Yeah, so I actually like I looked back and I was like trying to think like, okay, what was like the first one that I did? And the first one that I did was like when I was like 13 or something, and I
Mm-hmm.
got ENFJ. And so I was like, oh, of course, we all type ourselves upside down because it was
Yeah.
like I was like, what was my mind space then? It was like what type of personality do I want to be? What do I want to embody? And it's like I want to embody the NF, the extroverted, the JOI, I want to be organized and also extroverted with the feelings. And it's like that was kind of like the mind space of like the younger me, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But then I kept getting ISTP, ESTP, like that type of thing. I kept like seeing that, like seeing the TI, obviously. But then I kept getting like ENTP. And so for the longest time, I thought that I was an ENTP. I thought I was NETI, consume sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew I was double feminine. And then before my typing results, I came to the realization there was like a time where I was like going through each of the coins and I was like, okay, what's this? What's that? What's thinking? What's feeling? And I was like, what's sensing? What's intuition? Like, what is it? Like, actually, not
Mm-hmm.
just like not just the stereotype, not just the anecdote. Like, what is it? I'm like, I'm sensory. I'm not doing the guessing or like the framework in a savior state. I was like, and I like remember like I had that big realization. I was like, I'm sensory. And so I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I think I'm SETI, consume sleep. And then Dave and Shan, they both typed me, and then they came back. They're like, yeah, that's pretty much. We think you're play above sleep, actually. And then they got into that. They were like, yeah, you're kind of skibby. I was like, yeah, you got me there.
Wow. So eight
Yeah,
coins out of nine were
yeah,
correct.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty proud of that, but I try to not like let that like get to my ego or anything. Like, oh wow, you typed yourself so correctly. It's like, yeah, I did. It's like, no, no, no. Like,
Mm.
but we were talking a little bit beforehand about how like the double masculine sleep
Yeah.
is like it's like very aware of the inner world, like the inner patterns, and like masculine DI aware of self, and then
Mm-hmm.
masculine OI. Yeah, that's where I was having trouble. I was having trouble seeing the intuition because I was seeing like masculine intuition, and so
Right.
I was thinking that that was a savior. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, no, I'm not fighting in the physical world. I'm not a Jocko. I'm not one of these jocks, these football players that are just like masculine. I see ramming you in the physical world. Like, no, I'm more wiggly. And so I was like seeing like masculine intuition. I was like, okay, so I'm NE, and I could like
Mm-hmm.
see the OE. And so I was just kind of like fusing those together, and then not seeing that what I was doing with the OE was I was gathering facts. I wasn't making a guess on the front end. and then the back end, like the big tidal wave swing being, where's your statistics? Where's your facts? Where's the SI that you've organized? That's like, no, that's not what I was, that's not the problem. The problem was over gathering things on Wikipedia, jumping from thing to thing without OI narrowing down a conceptual framework inside, and like, and then the demon sleep is like not putting the brakes on and not like slowing down to OI organize. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think that's somewhat relatable to myself as well, because yeah,
In what aspect?
yeah, so the masculine functions, they are so, I guess they are so clear to both ourselves and others. So it
Right.
gets confusing in terms of, seeing the correct type when you're typing someone, etc. And,
Yeah,
I thought I knew, or I felt that I have to be NF, like intuition first. But
sure.
I am still feminine OI. So I didn't see the OI. I saw the
Because you
OE,
weren't
which,
fighting with it.
yeah, exactly. So I saw the OE at the bottom, which is SE, but I saw the OE. So I thought I was NE instead of NI lead.
Yeah,
I don't
same.
know.
Yeah, no, I think it's really interesting. I think there's a lot of confusion between masculines and saviors because they kind of act similar. Um,
Exactly.
because it's like a lot of the things that like Dave and Shane are looking for when they're typing is like you're not like it kind of like your vulnerable state. Like when you're like like they've said, like we want like a teenager in the room like venting, ranting to the camera. And it's like,
Yeah.
because it's just like pure rant energy. And it's like, what are you actually like worked up about? And it's like, you'll get worked up about your saviors, but also like when you're like in a fight, you're gonna fight with your masculines. Like you're like if I'm literally in a fight,
Yeah.
it's just easier for the masculine sensory to literally punch you. Like the feminine sensory is like, okay, I could like try punching you, but like I have like wiggle arms, like it's not actually gonna like hurt. Like there won't be like any confidence in like the extroverted sensory. And it's like where so it's like, where am I fighting? I'm fighting with the idea, with the concept. And it's like, yeah, I do tend to see that, like where like if you get me in a fight, or like if we're disagreeing, I'm not gonna like fight you in the physical realm or like with the feelings. I'm gonna fight you with like the logic. Like you are incorrect and I'll prove it to you, or I'll fight you in like the conceptual realm. What's the goal? What's the idea? What's like your whole framework is off. Like something like
Wow.
that. Like I'll fight on the NI, and it's like, but then what the problem is with the NI, with it being last, it's like you're doing all this SE and then it just swings unhealthily to the NI. And so it's like making huge guesses, and like the N is like known for like overgeneralizing. So it's like
Yeah.
overextending on the N, and
Right.
like making a huge jump off of little sensory. But where you want to see like the N and the S in balance is more like you're making a guess based off the sensory. So yeah.
And yeah, that makes so much sense. Do you have any examples? I mean, if you want to share, like, of these
Sure.
huge
About regarding
leaps,
what?
like,
Oh,
yeah, the guessing upon guessing, like overgeneralization
I
thing.
think, yeah, I think what it is like I'm really into philosophy, epistemology, ontology, basically like the study of knowledge. And a lot of the times when I get into like philosophical arguments with other people,
Yeah.
I'll find myself like healthily fighting with the logic. So like this is formal logic. Like I recently took a logic class in college, so like I learned all like the formal nomenclature of like how to use logic, whatever. So I'm like, okay, I have a healthy grasp on this. But when I get into like the conceptual, I have to like check myself. I have to be like, okay, you can't just make this huge overarching statement that just like messes up the details. Like I've gotten in like a couple arguments with masculine SI saviors. They're like, the wording matters. The
Exactly.
word, the specific word you use matters. I'm like, no, the word doesn't matter. The idea matters. And they're like, no. And it's like, and so like that's where like the masculine NI is like fighting its cousin, the masculine SI. It's like they're
Yeah.
both orderly. So it's like we're being very structured. And we can both like we're kind of like playing the same game, but it's
Mm.
like in different arenas. So like the masculine SI is like grounded in like the grammar, you could
Mm-hmm.
say. And then
Mm-hmm.
the masculine NI is grounded like in the intuition, in
Yeah.
like the wisdom, or like the overarching theme, the generalization. And so
Yeah.
like when I try to look at a lot of people who healthily use NI, masculine or feminine, and
Mm.
like see that they, you know, they make a framework, and if it's masculine, they maybe stand on that framework. But I especially try to look towards the double observers with masculine and I. That would be like the perfect thing for me to look at.
Right.
And like what they do is like they stand on the masculine and I, but then they're like, but what about this SE statistic? And they're like, yes, okay,
Mm.
we'll factor that into the framework. And I think one thing that my masculine NI has locked onto is OP and like the 512. And sometimes I've gotten in like fights in like personal relationships where I'll
Mm-hmm.
start it like quite unhealthily bringing up objective personality terminology into just like everyday conversation. And it's like, okay, Gus, like shut the hell up, we get it, we know you like objective personality. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
I generally like want to explain it to them, I want to give them a blaster lesson. It's what my
Yeah.
sleep has like locked onto.
Mm.
And it's like sometimes they're like, yeah, I want to hear about it, but like not all day long. And it's like that's where the unhealthy NI comes out, is it's like I just want to stick in this NI framework forever and just stay in there. And so
Right.
and so like the unhealthy use of it would be like demanding that other people acknowledge 512 if they're not ready for it. And I think that's like a hard part that I've cut, that I feel like I really have fully come to terms with. That is like
Mm-hmm.
not everyone accepts OP. Not everyone is willing to dive into personality theory, or like what are your demons, what are your saviors. Like these are deep existential things
Yeah.
that not everyone's ready for. Maybe everyone should learn it,
Mm.
but like maybe you don't need to be the one to teach it at this moment.
Right. Yeah, a little tangent on that.
Yeah.
Thinking of it, like, where do you think people are drawn to typology, personality,
Why?
theory? Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Like
Or
generally just like people,
generally, yeah, or whatever comes to mind, like for yourself, for the people you know, you know.
yeah, I would say I I heard this from someone. They were talking about like spiritual growth on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
It was like in a story, and they said they're like, when did you finally like start on your journey? And it was like when I was done with all my bullshit. And it's kind of like that type of feeling of like, you know what, like I'm done like putting
Yeah.
up with my saviors. And it's like there's this, so that's like one thing, like I feel like my saviors are having a negative impact on my life,
Mm-hmm.
and I can finally see it. Or like or if it's not having a massive impact, I at least am seeing the negativity from overusing my saviors, just staying in one side of the brain hemisphere and not acknowledging the other side. So like
Mm-hmm.
that's one aspect. I would say another reoccurring theme that ties together the people who are like initially interested in like the OP is like we want to talk about darkness.
Mm-hmm.
We want to talk about our demons. Like, what does demons mean? It's like literally like hell, like where we've gone through some heavy shit, and it's like this framework is like a roadmap on how to navigate hell for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
think a lot of people like they get into like some pretty deep dark holes, and it's like, and then they're just lost. It's like they don't have the, and it's kind of like objective personality gives like some terminology to like where you're lost in. It's like an IJ overwhelmed with chaos who
Mm-hmm.
doesn't know OP, and then but then they do learn OP. It's like, oh, okay, now I know what's happening. Like like I'm in that like that uncomfortable state of the chaos is coming at me. I know I caused it, not directly, but indirectly. And like, I just feel really bad about it, but it's like, but I know that it's because of my type.
Mm.
And I know that there's things that I can, and I think like another really great thing that I love about Dave and Chan is like, they talk about like 3 wheelbarrows, or like the like daily self-growth, self-responsibility type stuff of like, pick like 1, 2, 3 things a day to like small improvements, 1%, like what's that? I forget his name, but like the Atomic Habits guy, James
Yeah,
Clear.
James Clear,
Like,
yeah,
yeah, like 1% improvements every day. Um,
right. Hmm.
and so yeah, so I guess that would be the third thing. So like, so the second thing being like willing to like get into your darkness. The third thing would be like self-responsibility.
Hmm.
And like Jordan Peterson, like taking responsibility for your problems, like taking an honest look at yourself, seeing who like
Exactly.
seeing who you could be. And I
Hmm.
think who you could be is the alignment of your saviors and your demons in like equilibrium instead of one or the other.
Hmm. Yeah, right. Yeah, I think so too. Like the reason we are drawn to this is that we want to go on a
Yeah, what are you seeing?
a deeper journey in terms of learning how to become more whole, maybe in a sense, and how to solve certain issues that we have been struggling with. So basically tidal waves returning.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, like
these,
it's like if you haven't experienced any tidal waves,
yeah.
it's gonna be like objective personality is gonna be kind of foreign to you. It's like, what are you talking
Mhm.
about? Life's good.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, I think so too.
Excuse me.
Yeah, for myself, I had like an emotional issue that I needed to
Oh yeah.
kind of understand like deeply. I think TI has that need, to really dive into the
Yeah.
anatomy of the problem. And it's not until then you can let things go when you actually did understand, you know.
Yeah, I see a lot of TI users getting a lot of benefit out of OP because it's
Mhm.
like, especially like the masculine TI, it's like
Yeah.
the way I see it with masculine TI is like you take masculine TE, it's like all this extroverted energy towards other people, and you just compress it and turn it inwards.
Hmm.
It's like all this criticizing of like other people, and like you're doing it wrong, and it's like I'm doing it wrong.
Yeah.
I'm bad. And like getting pretty deep here, but like masculine TI, especially like with my like demon double masculine sleep, it gets very self-critical, very
Yeah.
aggressive. And that's the negative side to it. The positive side would be like Jordan Peterson's self-growth, like putting pressure on yourself to grow. Who could you be? What's the potential in yourself?
Mm.
Um, but where it gets too like self-indulging in like the masculine TI is like, I'm horrible. I can't do anything right.
Mm.
Like savior or demon. It's like it's just so much pressure. It's like unhealthy standard of perfection for the
Yeah.
self. And that's where I see a lot of problems. I also like talking about like relationships is like holding an unreasonable masculine TI standard
Yeah.
to yourself that you then project onto others or
Yeah,
people that are like within your DI.
exactly. That's the thing. Like also the other side of the coin, having feminine FE, we're always movable towards the tribe and putting all of the
Yeah,
pressure on ourselves. We would never expect the tribe, we would never hold them to the same standards as we hold
yeah,
ourselves. So it's kind of unfair if you
yeah,
compare that. Um,
yeah. It's interesting. It's interesting. Like with the feminine D, it's so, the universe is so funny. It's like you're so self-critical, masculine TI, logic, and then like you also have feminine FE. Like what? Like you're movable with the emotions. It's like how are those two compatible? It's like they are compatible. It's just like learning how that like works and how that flow works.
Yeah, they are. And also the way I see it, our feeling is going out. It's not really
Yeah.
towards
Or it's like connected.
ourselves.
It's like connected to the extroverted.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. So we are kind of movable in the tribe, but in ourselves, we are not.
Yes.
you know.
Yeah, like in a group setting,
Mhm.
I'll find myself like sometimes like playing the SF, double feminine SF play. I'll play like the clown role or of
Yeah.
like SEFE funny. Like I'll be like, oh look, I slipped and I hurt myself. Haha, look at Gus, he got hurt. And it's like,
Mm.
because like everyone kind of like likes watching people get hurt. Like America's Funniest Home Videos or whatever, like, oh, he's about to slip. Oh, he slipped. Oh my God. Like, like that type of thing. And so it's kind of just like a lighthearted, like, haha, like funny extroverted feelings. And like
Mhm.
that's where I kind of see like the play is like it's like kicking down the TI or kicking down the self function for the
Yeah.
sake of extroverted, lighthearted feelings.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
like something like that.
Interesting. And your play is also double feminine. I remember
Yeah.
having Ian here. You know Ian probably from the community, the clubhouse
Okay.
guy. Anyways,
Sorry.
he's
So yeah. So that's feminine sensory. I can't
yeah,
remember
right.
words.
Okay, forget about it.
So no, it's totally fine.
He was episode number 1, anyways, if you want to go
Oh,
back and
okay.
watch after. But he also has double feminine play, and he was
Yeah.
talking about it like being so flexible with everyone, everything that makes things work on a broader scale, and it's kind of
Yeah.
yeah, it's like a superpower to be able to use that. Do you find that too?
I think it's really healthy to view it as a superpower as opposed to a detriment because I would say like it's superpower abilities
Mm,
regarding the double feminine SF plays. It's like, I'll come in, I'll make a big ruckus with my masculine TI or something, I'll cause a disagreement, but I have savior play. And so it's like I can activate it when for me, like SEFE is like in the moment feelings with others. And it's like, because like SIFE is like we have like this etiquette, we have this pre-planned OI story
mm,
for the sake of the FE feelings, but with like
mm,
the SE, it's like, no, what's happening right now? Like what's pleasurable to the entire community? What is everyone like right now? And like I was in theater for like my entire high school time. Like I spent a
cool.
lot of time in theater, and
Mhm,
it really helped me work on my DE just in general because it's like you're up there on stage for the sake of the audience's entertainment.
mhm,
And especially like when you're on stage and you're interacting with other actors, it's like, what's happening right now? Are you listening to the other actor? Are you playing and are you pinging off what they're doing and creating an authentic new moment on
mhm.
stage every single time?
Yeah,
And that's what I think like the SF play is. It's like what do other people like right now in the moment?
exactly. Yeah. And I have I'm struggling so bad, even though I am DE, but with the pinging thing,
Yeah.
like the play, it's like,
What
yeah,
was your animal order again?
it's the opposite of yours, just upside down. So I'm blast,
Blast, sleep,
sleep, play,
play,
consume,
consume.
last.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, so still demon play, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm double activated on the OI. So it's like going
Mhm.
back and over the old upon going back over the old. It's like,
Yeah, I'd love to talk about that if
yeah,
we can
sure.
jump to that. Like,
Yeah.
so like how do you see or how do you or what would you say like are some of the pros, cons, pitfalls of like the OI and like the feminine NI?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. First of all, so the
Yeah.
cons, since I'm also masculine TI, let's start
Yeah.
with the negative.
Negativity.
Yeah, the negativity, smiling with a big FE smile. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think for myself, the struggle is to, as you say, you're pinging off in the moment. Like the whole struggle for me having OI as a savior is being
Mhm.
in the moment, like even
Interesting.
being present in the moment. It's
Wow.
like,
Okay.
yeah, so basically my NI is, the thing that is generating all of these simulations all the time. So I'm
Yes.
simulating things and I have basically already experienced them before I actually do experience them, if you know what I'm saying.
Yes.
So when I'm actually there, it's kind of old news in a sense, if you
Oh,
know what I'm saying, because
yeah, because you've already played it through in your
it's,
NI simulation.
yeah, it's been playing in my mind. And
Interesting.
so, yeah,
Yes,
so I'm already moving forward to the next thing when I'm experiencing that thing, you know. So
oh,
my mind is, yeah, moving forward from
so
there.
that's the con.
That's a con because I wish I could be more here and now, you know. It's kind of a beautiful thing to be able to
It
embrace
really
that
is.
SE, because you know life, a lot of it is SE. A lot of the
Yeah,
pleasures and the good things, you know, and just being able to interact with other human beings and, yeah, experiencing everything in real time. That's,
yeah, I would say that's like that would probably be like the benefit or the in the momentness can be a positive and a negative, but like the positivity of being in the moment,
mm,
present, like connecting it to consume. I would say like if you're in the moment, you're like actively listening,
yeah,
you know. And then like the pitfalls of being in the moment is like for me working on my NI, it's like projecting into the future. And
mm,
it's like with the SE, it seems kind of like short-sighted. You know, it's like only aware of like what's right in front of you at this moment. And then
yeah,
it's like it's like sacrificing the future long-term benefit at the expense of short-term pleasure,
yeah, and
which is
I'm
like the
doing
which is
the,
like the opposite.
yeah, exactly. I'm
Which,
missing out of the moment of the, yeah, the pleasure of the moment,
yeah.
yeah, for the sake
Because
of
it's
the
like because
future.
it's like overindulgence in like current in the moment pleasure is like
Hmm.
hedonism, like
Yeah.
overconsumption. And it's
Hmm.
like, that's not good, but neither is like completely missing what's
No.
happening in the moment. But that's just so crazy to me as like a lead SE. It's like, wait, you have trouble staying in the moment?
Yeah, I have.
And then it's like my trouble is like, okay, wait, I have to actually think about the future now. You know, like I have to actually like plan ahead and
Yeah.
actually be organized.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so interesting. Like, yeah, I don't even know how to word it, but that's just, you know, autopilot. You're always working on something else other than the thing in the moment, you know.
Do you think it's also kind of like connection to blast? It's like if I'm thinking in the future, I'm like thinking about like getting things started, like as opposed to like if you were like lead sleep NI and blast last, it's like you just be like processing for the self. But if because it's like blast, you're like I'm thinking
Yeah.
about something that I have to do in the future.
Yeah.
Is that is or no?
Interesting. Yeah, like if you would specify that question a little bit
So
more.
like lead sleep
Hmm.
NI, blast last would be using NI for the sake of the self in a very introverted sense because like NI is an introverted function, but then
Hmm.
paired with sleep, it's like I'm predicting the future for the sake of energy preservation. And it's like sleep is the energy coin. And it's
Yeah.
and then it's like the introversion of blast connect or the introversion of NI connected to blast would be like I'm predicting for the sake of extrovert information, for the sake of like blasting or getting something done or getting something started. Do you see
Mm.
that playing out in any aspect?
Well, I'd say that being in an energy dom, you're always aiming at the energy preservation thing as a sleep savior. So for
Hmm.
me, it's always about how can I how can I preserve my energy? How can I get this thing done with the least amount of effort, you know? It's the work
Yeah.
smarter, not harder kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
James Clear.
Yeah. That's the thing, you know, that I live by more or less. And yeah, I don't know. In terms of having blast before sleep, I think so. My blast is going out to the tribe. So it's about
Hmm.
sharing something for
It's
the
like
sake of the tribe.
informational.
Yeah, information, something that I know that can benefit the tribe. So yeah, that's my default first
Interesting.
first thing that I'm concerned about, like, and myself, it's like, yeah, it's coming second or even third sometimes,
Interesting.
having TI as a third
Yeah,
function.
because
But
I've found myself like playing like that blaster like mentor role a couple
mm,
times. And it's like, or like there's like a heavy demon desire to do that. And it's like I've done that a couple times with like friends where they'll like come to me
mm,
and they're like, what do you think I should do? And
yeah,
it's like I'll try to like use the NI to like project into the future and then assess their feelings, someone else's feelings to like
mm,
to and because I just think it's interesting how like the sleep and the play are like energy animals and they're like used for the expenditure or the preservation of energy. Whereas like
yeah,
the consume and the blast are the information animals. So it's like I'm consuming for the sake of consuming information, whatever form that comes. And then I'm like trying to get more specific on like what my demons are, what masculine NI, feminine FE blast is. It's like it's an information animal. It's like
mm,
conveying NF information. It's
mm,
not ST specific, and
no,
um, it's more general, and it has to do with people's feelings and like their heart,
yeah,
or like what people what's like bringing people together. FE, you know, that type of thing.
yeah. It's like with the FE, you're scanning whatever needs there are out there in the tribe,
Hmm.
whatever people are struggling with, what they are, going through, what they are thinking about, what they value, what they are striving for, all sorts of
Yeah,
things like that. It's something you are doing, like this helicopter vision thing. You're always circling over the tribe and looking
interesting.
at those things.
I've
And
heard like FE or like DE described as like a low hum
hmm,
of like just like kind of like keeping a low like check on like how the tribe is doing. Do you resonate with that?
yeah,
You
I'd
just kind of
say
said like a
so.
helicopter, just kind of like a low, just like checking how's everyone doing.
Yeah, exactly. I don't necessarily have to interact, personally with people. I can just, pick up by listening in to other people's conversations or just interacting, doing other stuff. But you're
Yeah.
always picking up, the vibe. You're always picking up, where is this person at today, right now in their life. And what you want to do with your blast is whatever NI you have, whatever NI understanding you have, or
Mhm.
insights, or, patterns that you can track with the tribe.
Mhm.
um, you want to use it to help them solve that thing they are going through, which is usually in a very conceptual realm. It's not like, oh,
Yeah,
we're going to help you, get better at, yeah, it could be something sensory as well, of course, but
sure.
basically it's about achieving that inner harmony, inner peace, you
Yeah.
know, your goals, your to be in a good place in life. Basically, you want to help people to be in a good place in their lives.
Yeah, I've heard like being at peace
Yeah,
being like um a good conceptual bubble of like what NF is. It's like
yeah,
helping other people. That's like they're helping their emotional state, and it's also like the OI of like feeling safe, feeling like at home, or
mm.
feeling at peace, or like something like that.
But then of course the driving force is still the TI. So the closer
Yeah,
people are to you, then of course you will invest more energy and more time in doing this.
yeah,
You will have like a general obligation to the whole tribe, of course, as a DE savior, but that doesn't go that deep. You're not gonna make that deep effort usually for a random person, but you will be, doing a little bit extra, go walk that extra
yeah,
mile or something.
yeah. Like Gary V, masculine FE. He
Hmm.
just random people. He'll just
Yeah,
like do you know NF blaster stuff with like and try to help their lives just on the spot. Also like
Exactly.
lead play, just willing to interact right now with a random person.
Yeah.
But I would guess with like, yeah, like especially like the masculine DI, and then coupled with the NF blast, it's like if you're in my OI or if you're in my DI, then it's like then you're gonna really get the full like
Yeah.
force of the NF blast.
Yeah, I feel the masculine FE at the top is like extreme in that case, like with Gary Vee.
Yeah.
It goes very far. And for me as an observer, not as concerned about, people in general, which is kind of
Yeah, right.
contradictory having FE
Yeah.
savior, but still. So yeah, it will be a bit more
That's kind of interesting because I've kind of been processing that lately about the observer decider coin.
mhm,
Because I heard like because I'm trying to embody all the aspects of like all the types. 'Cause, like, and I've been trying to like think like, okay, so I have like my four functions,
mhm,
and then there's like the four functions that I don't have that are like the opposite of them. But then there's technically like 16 functions of like different masculinity and femininity. So then there's like the opposite sexual function, and then there's like things that like are completely oblivious to you.
mhm,
Um, fuck, where was I going with this? Oh, yeah, but like for observer decider,
mhm,
if you're gonna like be a double observer. So if I'm gonna try to integrate my NI and my SE into a more balanced harmony, I need to accept being a single decider, which means accepting the burden of being a single decider, which is like placing a higher importance on people than things. And it's like,
right.
and what I've found is like it's kind of sad, but like with a lot of the SE, they'll kind of like objectify people like
Yeah.
as just pure sensory, like because it's not even like seeing the human as the first thing, and so
Mhm,
it's not like inherently objectifying, but what it is it's like it's seeing the sensory as like the big thing, and then
mhm,
like the and then like the swing would be like seeing that the abstract framework and not seeing any of the sensory and like just seeing that, and it's like no, you got to like start working more towards being a decider of like the most important thing is the tribe.
mm,
The most important thing is how other people are doing. And it's like you'll use the observers to like get there, or like the other side would be like the most important thing is my self-growth. It's like the most which is like it's like because like I see like a lot of the IPs like I'm the best. It's like, are
mhm.
you? Like really? Because like with the masculine DI TI double activated, like I'll have that like I'm better than you, whatever, but I won't like overextend on it and be like, I'm the absolute best forever, king syndrome, whatever, like
Exactly.
IP
Yeah.
syndrome. I'm at the top of the pyramid. And it's
No.
because like I can like almost see it. Like I'm like I could almost be there. And so it's like my TI is already super activated. Like trying to be a decider. It's like you want me to be more about myself. And it's like,
Mhm,
I don't know if I can do that, but it's like a healthy thought experiment to like imagine myself as like an ISTP, which would be
yeah.
like the closest variant or variation of my type, and then be like, okay, how would an ISTP approach this? Like if I'm
Mm,
having trouble with, like I'm having trouble with my dishes or some observer issue, it's like, okay, well, what the ISTP sees the most important thing as the people, and like how am I perceived by other people? How am I perceived by myself?
mhm,
What's the tribe dynamic, so it will have an easier time jumping, like just like real quickly switching back and forth between the SNN or the OE and the OI. It's
yeah.
like so like just like thinking through like, okay, I'm an ISP, I am or like I'm an ENFJ, I'm an
Mm.
ENFJ. Like how would that person go about this landscape or
Yeah,
something like
that's
that?
yeah, that's a really interesting perspective because even being, yeah, savior DE, I also feel that I think less about people.
Okay, yeah. You want to talk
So,
about that?
um,
Like coming from the sorry, or like coming from like the end perspective, because
yeah,
like
Yeah,
Because like the
exactly.
SE like
Compared.
objectifies people materially,
Mhm.
like it's like overly materialistic. Like the only thing is the sensory, and it's
Yeah.
ignoring the people and it's ignoring the intuition. But like, what's the
I think it's the opposite, or not the opposite, but it's like clumping and
okay? Yeah,
categorizing more. So people are not really individuals as much as they are,
a
this
category.
category. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, it's just making it easier, I guess, to yeah, you put it in different parts of your in your OI. You're kind of organizing them, I guess, into different parts.
Do you have any like sensory examples
I'm making
of
this up
of
as
like?
I go, by the way. I'm
Oh,
I'm a
okay.
blaster, so I don't know what I'm talking about. The thing with
Imagine.
thing with blast is it can be
Yeah.
quite amazing because you start talking and you don't really know what you're gonna say. It's just happening in the moment, you
Oh
know.
wow,
Yeah, it's very interesting. Like
that's something.
not even I know what I'm gonna say. That's yeah.
Oh
But
wow,
yeah, that's
interesting.
how it works. And it's I guess it's practice because
So would
you're
you say it's or
yeah.
keep going? Sorry.
No, I'm just saying you're obligated to do it if you are a blaster, so you just do it, and yeah,
Interesting.
I guess it gets better with time.
Yeah.
Sometimes I hear a lot of blasters, they are like this empty, the engine just running empty, car is standing
Oh.
there, nothing is happening really. The empty kind of blast. I
Oh.
hear that a lot. But then, yeah, it's different. Some people have been working on their blast and it becomes more, it has more substance.
Yeah. That's so interesting because it's like with like the energy dom being either super activated on consume or super activated on blast. It's like,
Mhm.
how do you learn? And it's like, I feel like with like the double activated consume, it's like I learn by learning,
Yeah,
by like by like
exactly.
by like gathering new information for the self. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute. You're telling me that all my consume last teachers are learning by teaching the class? And it's like, oh, I
It's
get it now.
yeah,
They
it's
can't do the consume. And so like the way they get informational insight is through condensing it into the blast form.
yeah, it's not like you have never, if you are a teacher, obviously you have studied to become a teacher, so you have learned,
Yeah,
you have
a
you have
little bit.
yeah, probably a lot, I hope.
Or well, okay, well, yeah.
But still, yeah, I don't know where
But
I
it's
was
like
going with
what
this.
they're comfortable, like the way they process information in a savior state is through condensing the information in a way that's understandable for others.
Yeah, yeah, the amazing thing with blast is that you can take this very tiny piece of information and you can overwork it. We hear Shannon and Dave say that all the time.
Yeah.
You can just add analogy upon analogy on the same actual thing that you're trying to teach.
Yes.
So it can sound very big, but it's just this little seed of information actually.
Yeah, it's almost like you're, let me see, I like how to describe this because it's like the NI has the capacity to like make a huge cover a wide range of aspects
Hmm.
through only making like a small like in OP, like Dave and Shannon have like overworked, not overworked, but they've like uh gone back over and over and over again
Hmm.
the
Yeah,
code, which is only
yeah,
9 coins, but it covers
right.
your entire personality,
Yeah,
and it spreads out to 512, 1024, including the sexes.
yeah,
So literally, it's like all this diversity from just 9, and so it's like
exactly. So the NI is actually pretty dense.
it's
It's
like
a lot
dense,
in
yeah,
there. Yeah, it's a lot of understanding. Yeah,
like
deep
depth of
understanding.
understanding,
Yeah,
yeah, because
exactly.
I see what the I was trying to describe SE to a friend. They were like I think that they were an INFJ as well, and they had masculine NI.
Hmm.
They were double feminine, and they were like, I want to know like what is the feminine SE doing? And it was like whereas the NI is like going for depth of analogies.
Mm-hmm.
The SE is like looking for like breadth of knowledge. So like
Yeah.
I'll go to like Wikipedia and I'll like go in with like the idea of like learning about chemistry or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I'll like look up like a specific chemical, salt, for example, and then
Mm.
channel change, I'll go to sodium because salt is made out of sodium and chloride. So then I'll just read a little bit about sodium, get some facts, and then jump to chlorine and then get a little bit of that. And so it's
Mm-hmm.
like with the NI concept, the information that I'm trying to learn is chemistry. But then with the SE, it's like jumping, it's literally like going into the sensory and like jumping all around. And it's just like I see like the N, like definitely like that funnel analogy of like all the
Yeah.
SE is like funneling into the NI.
Mm-hmm.
And but it
Exactly.
also goes the other way. Like the NI can start off with like a small it like builds a bit of an analogy or it adds one more coin.
Mm.
And then that covers a whole new range of
Yeah.
extroverted sensory.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I think also what NI all the time is looking for is kind of, as you are generalizing things, you're also narrowing them down. You're kind of
Simplifying.
simplifying. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because you don't want to, since you don't have the SE, like it's very weak in you,
sure.
you can't keep track of all the details. There are just too many of them.
I can't
So
keep track of all the details.
you have feminine sensory.
I
But
literally get so overwhelmed. Like
yeah,
I overwhelm myself with too much sensory and
yeah,
I'm savior.
exactly. Yeah, it's interesting with the modality. It really is. But yeah, so I think that's what you want to do. You just want to just get the general idea, the general understanding, and that's it.
But you want it to be simple,
Yeah, exactly.
not like overly, because like with the NE, like as opposed to the NI, it's looking for like complex analogies. Or it's like jumping from different categories based off of like a singular sensor example or
Mm-hmm.
something. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
like the NI is like looking at all the sensory examples and trying to make a broad sweeping
Yeah.
NI category on all the sensory and like putting all the sensory into an NI jar or something.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, this is super interesting. I want to do the OI and go back a little bit,
Okay,
catch
yeah,
you on something that you said before,
yeah,
because
let's tie together the threads, make it all make sense. Yeah,
yeah, let's see if we can. It's a lot of tangents here, but it's so many interesting things that you have been bringing up. I really appreciate
sure.
that.
Yeah, of course.
But I was thinking about the whole OI OE thing because that's our
Yeah,
main difference really with the
the observer
human needs.
struggle.
Yeah. And I'm thinking, so in your case, you have, I mean, I think it's amazing with consume play or play consume because you're just so able to be in the moment, the thing we were talking about before.
In the momentness.
Yeah. And you said something about active listening. I just want to dive
Yeah,
into that a little bit more. What do you mean by active listening? And maybe
yeah,
compare that to how an OI is listening.
yeah.
Do we
Or
listen?
rather, their lack of,
Yeah, yeah,
or
yeah, right.
or it's like so. We're real quick. Like Dave has been pretty upfront about this, where he's like, "I'm not listening to you. I'm just listening for when you do say something that my OI recognizes." And
Yeah.
it's like maybe that's like kind of what the OI is doing. Is it's like it's just like running on a loop of like the same OI. And it's like listening until you do say something with the OI, and it's like, okay, now I can blast about the OI that you just my OI that you just said. But like,
I think by default, what I try to do is
or yeah,
kind of, it depends on, if I'm tired or not. But if I'm,
yeah,
if I'm all right, I will try and really see what you're saying. But then I want to kind of sum it all up into something, doing the NI. But I want everything to be in that NI.
it should be an organized framework by
Yeah,
the end of it.
exactly. So what is this person really saying? What is this boiling down to?
Yes,
That's
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
what I'm listening for. What is the actual message here? What is the
What's the point?
real? Yeah, because someone can even be talking about, whatever, but the real message, it's something underlying. It's not really what they are saying with words or what they are talking
What are
about.
they, what's the subtext? What are they
Yeah.
subconsciously saying?
Yeah, more like, what is the issue here? What are we really talking about? What is the real conversation
Yeah.
about? I think that's what I am. I'm not the same as Dave, because he
Well,
does,
yeah.
his F is going inwards, so he doesn't really care, in that
Yeah.
sense. But for me, my OI kind of cares about the tribe. So
Yeah.
there's a difference between the two of us in that
Okay.
sense. So I kind of need to really understand, okay, what's going on here? Because this is important to me because it's my savior, To him,
Mhm.
it's not important because he's DI.
Yeah.
So I think there is a slight, or yeah, there is a difference with that.
I would
I,
agree.
I don't know how it works when you have NITE first, but it should be something similar.
It would
But
be like,
anyways, yeah,
or yeah, well,
yeah,
whatever.
you can say what
About
it.
active listening.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I would say like with the consume, like if like you can't just like hate on your saviors all day long. You have to be
Mhm,
like, okay, there's someone who has your saviors as a demon and is wanting to achieve your demon. So like what is your saviors doing correctly? And I would say with the consume, or like with active listening, it's like a deep sense of like curiosity, of like I really want to know, like say I'm like sitting down with someone, like I see this like Jordan Peterson a lot, like every client he has is his DI and he wants to know everything about you. Like he's very curious about you. And
mm,
like another thing that I heard about, like there was a guy who's talking about like how to overcome small talk, and it was like instead of trying to be interesting, just be interested. And
yeah.
so like that's what I think like the key part is like
Mhm,
being curious and actually genuinely like being interested in like what the other person is saying. But then that requires you to actually have interests, and and actually solidify like what am I interested in?
mm,
What am I curious about from this other person? Like,
yeah.
because it's like if you're not actually, because like that would be like the struggle of the consume last, is it's like I'm not curious about what you have to say or something like that. But it's like
Mm,
with like the consume, it's like, or like with the play also, like I'm interacting with you in the moment. And then the consume is like I want to listen to you, like it's just this, like I love conversating, like
mm,
play, because and then like it also opens up opportunities to blast. But also I just feel like a deep like sense of like comfortability and just just listening to someone passively, you know,
yeah.
and then like interjecting, like, can you talk more about this? Like here, like elaborate more on this. And it's like I really just like want to,
So
like
you
with
are,
act.
yeah.
Go
I'm
ahead.
just trying to, yeah, just checking so I'm following here. So you're
Sure.
basically solidifying the consume, or you're kind of checking it with your interest. So in terms of your own TI. So what in this consume correlates to my TI, kind of.
Yeah, it's like, because like if you're like unhealthily doing like the TI, it's like you're only going to talk about what you're interested in.
Hmm.
Like you've done some TI processing on what you're interested in, and then you're bringing that to the table.
Hmm.
But like you're like interjecting that into places where it doesn't need to be. And then
Hmm.
like the healthy aspect would be like whatever conversation you have is your TI.
Hmm.
It's like whatever they're talking about, and it's like you can have your own interests, but it's like whatever the conversation is about, align your TI with that. And it's like, okay, my DI like really wants to know this topic or this conversation. And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
And it's like then that will spur on active listening, because it's like you're deeply interested in what the other person has to say. You're like you actually want to like hear their point of view.
Yeah.
And it's like you want, and then like if you're also like trying to use the blast, then it's like maybe you also want to like listen to them for the sake of like actually trying to help them, and
Hmm.
like trying to give back some form of advice through like deeply analyzing like what they have to say.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think like another thing, like not even like being like going into the blast, like you consume and then for the sake of the blast, but it's like just like being present with someone, like this, like going more into the OE, like just being present with someone, like just being a passive listener to the
Mm-hmm.
other party, like just like, because a lot of times people like, no one's listening to me, like no one wants to hear my point of view. And it's like, I do. It's like, I want to hear you. And so it's like, I want to be present with you. And it's like, I want to be SE, like in the moment with you right now. And I'm
Mm.
interested in you. And it's like, I'll shut up and like, I want to hear you talk. I want to hear you give your rant. And like, that's where I kind of feel like the active listening comes into play.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it covers a lot. I'm just seeing some general, like in my mind, maybe differences because you seem to be deep diving like into the subject or whatever they are talking about. Like you're listening to the topic, to the subject in a sense.
Yeah. Or like
And
whatever is on their mind. Yeah.
yeah, what they are talking about. And
Mhm.
and I think in my case, so having consumed last but still having, you know, NIFE, I'm listening to the person more than I'm listening to the subject or to the topic.
Yeah.
So I'm
Well,
not
yeah,
listening to the SC,
that's
but
also
I'm,
important.
yeah, so I'm kind of listening more to, yeah, the human being. Again, back to the
Yeah.
patterns, listening to the patterns because that's what my brain picks up. And then if I
Mhm.
can remember the patterns, then I can go back and ask for the sensory afterwards because probably I didn't catch them. Depends.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think like actively listening to someone can be like very healing. Like having someone
Mhm.
actually like listen to you, actually interested, because a lot of times, like, or not a lot of times, but just like if you're talking to someone and they're inactively listening to you and they're just like kind of like
No,
just like,
that's.
yeah, like they're just like not there,
Mm,
and it's like, well, what's
mm,
the point of
mm,
me talking to you? And it's like sometimes I want to have like, I want to be heard.
Yeah, of course, everyone wants that.
Yeah.
So would you like to go into some sort of, coaching or some type of profession where you would listen to other people? Could you
Yeah,
imagine yourself doing that?
I've thought a lot about like teaching
Hmm.
or being a mentor of some sorts, and then like applying that to how that would fit into NF. And because like, you can be a teacher in some ST realm of like teaching this
Hmm.
factual logic, or SF, like etiquette or something, or like NT teaching, you're teaching um, theories, and teaching the theory so that it like works for other people. But then like with the NF blast, it's like being creating the OI safe space for someone to be vulnerable in the realm of the NF. And so
Yeah.
it does seem to have to do with um, more of like I don't know, just like more of the like spiritual,
Hmm.
and like helping someone align their values, as opposed to like getting this like theory to like work for you, like NT or whatever. It's like, no, 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 like I want to get this like NI theory that like helps you align yourself,
Mm.
or like it increases your emotional vibration, and it brings about better feelings, um, and different. There's obviously a very different avenues that I'm trying to like explore doing that through. Um, some of them are less conventional, some of them are more
Yeah.
conventional. Um, but yeah, I think in the end, I see like it's I find a lot of benefit through like one-on-one coaching, because when you like there's a quote or something like you can see the eyes of God in everyone,
Hmm.
but like there's something about like when people like uh, when they're in a group, they kind of like turn into different people. There's like a different type of
Yeah,
uh
like
just a
roles.
yeah, there's a different role they play in
Yeah.
a tribe
Mm.
versus I'm talking to you one on one,
Mm.
and it's like we are both sharing our personal experience into each other, It's like we're not bringing all this role baggage into the experience. And I feel like that has to do with like one-on-one mentorship. And you can maybe extend that into like small class size classrooms, like, instead of there being a lecture hall of just,
Yeah.
like one guy is blasting to 200 people and they
Right.
just kind of like passively get the information.
Mm.
It's like maybe a class of like 5 or 10 people, like 10 people max, like 5, like ideally like you have 5 people, and that way you can like individually get to know each of them.
Mm.
And then I think like having that class of like 5 people versus the one-on-one, or having them in tandem, is
Mhm.
that when you have these 5 people that are all going through the same experience, they can share with each other and like help each other do what I'm trying to help them to do in whatever NF realm that is. But then they
Mm.
can also share with me, and I can get different perspectives on what works for different people. Because it's like, if I'm mentoring someone one-on-one, one at a time, like fully in depth, then it's like I'm only really analyzing what NI frameworks or what type of things are working for this person for their particular type and their
Mm.
particular circumstances, like where they grew up, what their family was like. And so it's like I'm only getting like a singular variable. But if you have like a classroom of 5, it's like not too much to where it's like a classroom of 30 people, and it's like I can't really keep track of all
Yeah.
these people's, like, because like that's where I kind of like see an issue with like the education,
System.
like
Yeah.
yeah, the education
Mm.
system is, it's like it's just trying to get like just like get the information into people's brains, but it's not really like with the classroom of 30, it's near impossible for
Mm.
the teacher to have to give one-on-one attention. Try
Yeah.
giving one-on-one attention to 30 people in an hour. It's like,
No.
nah, like you need like maybe like a whole day
Mhm.
for like a classroom of 30 people. But it's like, if you have 5 people in a classroom learning a subject from this teacher, each one of those students will have an opportunity to raise their hand and have their voice heard. But it's like,
Yeah.
when you're in a classroom of 30, because like I guess I'm just using 30 because like that was kind of like the standard number of
Yeah.
like
It is.
a class like that I grew up in,
Yeah.
from like
Here.
my circumstance.
Same
I would
here.
say that's like pretty like average. There's like
Mhm.
less, there's more. But like
Mhm.
with 30, the teacher asks a question, and then you're vying for attention,
Mm.
and the chances that it'll get called on you, like all equal, is like 1 out of 29, or like 1 to 29,
Right.
you know,
Exactly. Yeah.
versus 1 to 4. And it's like,
Mm.
instead of wanting him to answer you instead of other people, if
Mhm.
you're like in a smaller classroom, you want each person to have their voice heard, and yours, and not just yours over like the other class. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. It makes total sense. So,
Yeah.
in that framework, do you have any idea of what you would like to teach, or would that matter to you?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I have been, so personally, I've been really getting into a lot of spirituality,
Mhm.
and really like becoming a hippie, uh, NF. And I've recently converted to Buddhism.
Mhm.
And I had like a long streak, or just basically my whole life, where it was just, I was just a-religious, just agnostic, and it was just no real connection to the spiritual.
Mhm.
And I'm actually going on a retreat over the summer, in
Wow.
yeah,
Cool.
it'll be like, I was gonna go for like 3 months. I was like, whoa, Gus, let's start off let's start off a little slower than that.
Start with a
But
month.
yeah, so I'm just going for like 3.5 weeks.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited for that, because I feel like that has a lot of potential for healing.
Mhm.
And there's like a direct role in there for, like monks being teachers or whatever. And then I've also gotten really into the chakras, the
Right.
system of chakras, because that's very NI. It's
Mm.
very abstract. But I like, specifically with the chakras, I find a lot of people might be more accepting of that, because they've maybe heard of that already or something. They're like, yeah, it's the chakras, or like I don't know exactly what it is, but it's a rainbow. Like I've
Mhm.
seen it or heard of it before. So like people might be more receptive to it than maybe Buddhism. I don't know. I haven't gotten into the mentoring realm as of yet, like full on. Maybe like one-on-one with people I've talked and discussed ideas about that. Um, I'm
I'm
sure I'm
really
missing something, but
curious.
those are the two big ones.
Yeah, I'm curious about that retreat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do
what
you want me to
kind
talk
of,
more about that?
yeah, like what kind of program? What are you gonna do, like activity wise, and
Yeah.
yeah,
So
what does it look like?
yeah, so I was recommended to do it. I've been in a Discord meditation community with
Mm,
like who's headed by an American monk. He's a ordained or not ordained. He's a monk, a Buddhist Zen monk, and
mm,
I was like, I want to get more serious about my practice. What do you think the next couple of steps are? And he's like, well, and so we talked about kind of like what my history of meditation has. So I've been like meditating for like 4 years. And I'm like, okay, I really want to like solidify daily habits. I'm working on trying to meditate an hour a day. Not obviously failing at that, but I'm like getting there. I'm like meditating maybe like 10, 20, 30 minutes a day. And so
mm,
he's like, okay, the first thing you should probably do is like go to a retreat. And so he recommended a couple ones. And so I'm going to a Zen Buddhist retreat in California,
mm,
and it'll be 3 weeks. And it's so there's some like silent retreats where like you're not allowed to speak at all, and it's not like a silent retreat, but like you're encouraged to not
talk.
speak throughout the day.
Mm,
Yeah, so there will be like not mandatory, but there will be scheduled in uh, at least 2 to 3 hours of split up meditation every day.
mm,
But basically, the entire day is a big long meditation because you wake up, you meditate. There's a little bit of reading from the Dharma, but then what I'm really excited about is that there's a you can like work in the kitchen,
mm,
and they do a lot of um, vegan dishes, and so you can be put to work there, or you can do like work in the fields. You can like because they have their own farm. Um, so yeah, so it'll be there. It's up in the mountains of California.
wow,
There's
sounds
like a
cool.
yeah, there's like a dirt road on like the cliffside that you have to like take
Mm,
a special car to get there. And they're like, we kind of
yeah,
like it like that because it's like a little harder to get to. So it's like not a lot of, it's like a little barrier that people have to cross. It's like,
mm,
oh, it's in the mountains. Oh, I don't want to go there.
yeah,
And it's like, no,
right.
no, no. I
That's
wanna
the,
I wanna go through the mountains. It's SE dangerous. Yeah.
yeah, that's the
And so it's like,
first
yeah,
test. Like, yeah,
yeah,
see if
yeah.
they
It's kind of
overcome
like
that.
a rite of passage. Can you
Mm,
overcome fear? Can you like get in there? But then it's like harder
yeah.
to get in there, and it's also harder to get out. So it's like you get
Mm,
there, and there's a little bit of resistance because there's always going to be a little resistance if you've never experienced a retreat before of like
mm,
being like having that inner silence because you're like you really realize like, oh, my mind is just like running, running, running all day long. There's just
mm-hmm.
thoughts nonstop, and it's like, oh my god, how do I turn this off? And it's like,
Yeah.
how do I just get still? And it's like you don't even realize
Mm,
how much you think every second of the day, how much there's this internal monologue, or not even think, just like how much like busyness there
there
is
is
going
going
on
on. Yeah.
until you just stop for like an extended period of time.
Mm.
Um, yeah, so I'm anticipating it being very, very beneficial, very healing, and I'm really excited.
Wow. And then maybe in the future, me doing the NI, of course, uh,
Yeah,
working with that, like helping others in terms of that same, yeah,
yeah,
path.
yeah. No, I've thought about what it's. I I with like the OE, I'm diagnosed ADHD, which I think is basically just like OE in play, in
Yeah.
my opinion. Like just an
Sounds like it.
overactive, like it's like
Yeah.
channel changing.
Hmm.
But it's like with like the ADHD, it's like there's a tendency to like pick a subject of interest, go super deep into it, and then brush it off, and then we'll
Mm.
do it again.
Yeah.
And so, and like you hear this all the time. Someone will come up with this great idea for a business or whatever, and they'll like
Hmm.
get super into it, and then like 3 months later, they're like, "So, what about this business
Mm.
idea that you had?" They're like, "Oh," and then it's kind of like that shame of like, "Oh yeah, I just kind of moved on." And it's like
Oh,
this is like one of those things where it's like I don't want to do that. It's like I
right.
actually want to like And like I've thought about like becoming a monk, or like shaving my head and like
Mm,
becoming like a teacher or something like that. But that is
yeah,
very, very far off in the
far.
distance. That's like
Mm,
very like ultra macro long-term goal. But I've
mm,
definitely thought about it.
yeah. And I mean, you have masculine NI, so it can be long term. That's okay for
Right.
you.
Yeah. That's like the benefit is like I just kind of like feel at home in the NI. It's like kind of
Mm,
weird. It's like I just like because it's like maybe it's because it's last. And so it's like
mm,
when I do swing into that NI, it's just like a very, very solidifying, and it's masculine. And so I just feel very like comfortable and like, okay, it's just like hard to get there. There's like a lot of resistance in like
mm,
switching to that NI instead of just staying in SE busy gather mode all day.
right. Yeah. Yeah, that must
Yeah.
be like a relief, actually, when you
Yeah,
can tap into that NI.
it really is actually. It's because it's like self patterns. Like, what am I doing all day long that I'm not even realizing that I'm doing? Like, what am I
Mm,
subconsciously doing? And it's just like, oh, I've been missing like I've recently realized that like I'm like a triple decider, like like on top of single observer, on top of single
yeah.
observer, like just
Hmm.
only in the SE or only in the NI. And so it's like only in the SE, and then like, oh, I've been missing all of this NI. And then it's just like, oh, finally, here it is. Like, okay, now I get it. Because
Mm,
it's like now I'm seeing the full picture of the information, and I'm not just stuck in like the material. I'm also seeing what the patterns are, the future,
mm,
that type of thing.
yeah. Wow. Super interesting. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so many things to think about here. But going back a little bit to the type, I think all the other stuff is actually kind of more interesting at this point. But
Sure.
yeah, we can still go back a little bit maybe to the type.
Mhm.
Um, I'm just thinking of what was I thinking about? Let me see.
Yeah. What other questions do you have?
Oh yeah. The blast. Yeah, because we are kind of talking about how you're working towards sharing your NI, your OI more in the future. So
Yes.
that's you are kind of building up towards this awesome blast in the end
Yeah.
there. So
Yeah. Like I'll definitely like I have to do, for me, there's kind of like a roadblock in the sleep
mhm,
for me. Because it's
yeah.
like, okay, I'm consuming all day, and then like I'll play, hee hee wee. And then there's kind of like this double masculine, like, like, no, no, no. Like you gotta like process. And so
Mhm,
it's like, if I am going to be blasting, like this is the story with the blasters. It's like you have to get through all the animals until you get to the blast. And it's like before I'm gonna be blasting, I have to be like ultra NITI processed about whatever I'm going to be blasting about. Because I feel like what I'm going
right.
to be blasting about is going to have to do a lot with like the depth of whatever the NITI is. And
Mm,
so there's kind of like with that masculinity, there's this urge to really solidify what the self principles are of what I'm going to be blasting about.
yeah. Basically like how it works for me with consume. Like it really has
Yeah.
to be the exact right thing to consume. I'm not going to consume just anything. It needs to be,
Interesting.
yeah. So it's basically the same kind of
If you're going to
principle.
consume,
Yeah.
it's double masculine. It
Yes.
better be like something that I'll get a lot of NI
Value.
insight out of,
Yeah.
or value to other
Hmm.
people out of.
Yeah.
Like I'm not just gonna, yeah, I'll find that with like, I'll just like consume random things, and I gotta start being like, no, 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 no. Like you need to only consume essential things that are gonna
Yeah.
lead you more onto your NI path. Because there's a lot of things that you need to learn,
Yeah.
but you
Like I
can't just
do.
you got to be more picky with what you actually consume.
Yes. Yeah,
Do you have
exactly.
any examples of that?
No, I'm just thinking of like, so for me, that's doing you doing your random consume and I'm doing my random blast. Like,
Wow. Oh, that's, yeah. I just need to think about that for a little bit longer.
yeah. So basically, you are not picky about what you're consuming, and I'm not picky about what I'm blasting.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, that just blows my mind because like it makes sense. Like that's what the math says. It's like
Mhm.
You're just like doing the blast on autopilot. So it's
Yes.
like, I'll talk about this. It's like, I'm just comfortable talking about it without learning anything about it. It's like,
Yeah, you have like a million pieces of mini consumes here and there all over the spectrum of
oh,
information that exists, in the world. And
yeah,
I have like a million pieces of mini blasts all over, spread about.
yeah. That's how I see it. Like, yeah, like, library or whatever. Like I have a bunch of different like NI categories that I want to consume into. And
Mhm.
it's like, if only I could read more than one book at one time, like if like I see that with like the OE and the consume, it's like I want to consume, but I want to consume like everything all at once. It's like, no, guys. You get to pick one thing and you can consume that one at a time. And
Yeah,
it's like, and then that's kind of like working on the OI, I guess. But then with the blast, it's like little bits of topics that you're able to blast on here and there.
right. Yeah. Yeah, it's basically the opposite process. I was talking about this in a video just before
Hmm.
this one, and it's about how the top animals are about breath. And like what
Okay.
you're saying, everything is funneling down so that the last animal will be about depth. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
like a high quality investment in the last animal, while up
Oh,
there it's like very scattered and open to all kinds of inputs.
that's interesting. Yeah. So like, it's almost like the demons are like valued higher. So it's like if I'm going to be consuming or if I am going to be blasting, I better
Mhm.
put a lot of attention into it. And I better be like
Exactly.
making sure I get the most out
Yeah.
of consuming or I get the most out of whatever that last animal is.
Yeah, the last animal is kind of depending on the first three animals. So
Yeah.
it's kind of supervised by them, you could say, or guided by them. So
Hmm.
these top animals are the parents and the last one is the child. So you need the guidance from above. So for you
Yeah.
to do the blast, you have to kind of do your first three animals first, and then the blast that comes is not really for itself, but it's actually a result of the top three animals.
Yeah.
If you see what I'm
So
saying,
would
this
you
is
would
very
you say,
theoretical. Yeah.
yeah, no, I get that. Would you say that that is the end goal, or is that like a step on the process to becoming more aligned? Because it seems like I would say like maybe like a step further than that with like being able to blast without consuming for me.
Mm.
Like because like my obligation is like if I'm going to be blasting about something, I have to read 10 books about it. I have to have
Mm.
consumed everything about it and I have to have perfect knowledge about it. It's like, no,
Yeah.
no, no, Gus. Maybe I should be willing to blast on things that I haven't fully consumed yet,
Yeah.
or like something like that.
Hmm. Exactly. Yeah. That's the challenge for you being double activated on the consume. You will never feel prepared. You will never feel that you know enough. There is still more to know before you're
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
super responsible. While for the blasters, it's like I only know 2% more than the people that I'm teaching. I am learning as
Oh,
they are learning, but I know slightly more so I can teach.
yeah. Oh, that's so interesting. It's like I know enough. Like I like the threshold for the consume is lower. Like I've consumed this and I know enough now and I'm ready to take it to the extrovert and start blasting it
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just like building that comfortability of like turning off the saviors. It's like no, you don't need to consume. You can just consume a little bit and then take that. I've seen myself do that more and more where like I'll enter a new field and like if I actually want to learn about whatever I'm consuming more, I
Mhm.
should consume it and then immediately try to explain it to someone and see if they
Yeah.
actually understand it. And
Yeah.
then because if they actually do understand it, then that means I know what I'm talking about.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that often, so that's how we do it, the blasters.
Yeah.
That's how it's
Oh
done.
wow.
Just take
So
in.
you're like blasting and then you're checking like did you understand that? And then they did. and then like, okay, great, I got that NI, blaster
Yeah,
thumbs up.
exactly. They got it. And then in turn, that will lead to some follow-up questions, maybe from them, but also from your own mind. So now I
Yeah,
need to go and take in more, or I need to sleep process more so that I can understand it. And then I can do a
yeah,
better, a bigger, a better blast after that, that is more complete, you know? So I'm kind of
yeah,
bettering it all the time. So I'm starting from scratch and then I'm building it. So it's
yeah,
in the end, maybe what people hear, you know, people that don't know me, is like very processed blast that has been processed like 50 times. So it can
yeah,
be super good because, yeah, if they were here in the beginning, they wouldn't think so. But you
sure.
know, down the line, it will be good, and that would never have been the case if I didn't start. You know.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's crazy. I don't know how much time we have left, but I have a question for you
Yeah, sure.
regarding
Yeah,
like
I'm
you were
letting
talking about.
this interview, you know, go wild. Oh,
Okay,
it's okay.
yay,
Yeah, it's
we
okay.
we're conversating in the moment, and
Yeah, I'm
yeah, that's
trying.
that's the other thing with like the problem with like feminine sensory is that I have no concept of time
Yeah, I think
or
we've
like the
been
passage
talking
of time.
like for an hour and 20 minutes, something
Oh,
like that.
cool,
Yeah.
cool, cool, cool. Anyway, so what I'm interested in is hearing like because you have Savior Sleep,
Mhm.
NITI, and so I'm interested in seeing what you're doing with that, like how you're using your sleep healthily, and
Mhm.
like maybe like what you are processing, how you're using it in your daily life.
Yeah. Yeah. So the way I have seen it, I mean, so far I'm revising it and I'm working through the information and I'm changing it. But I think at least so far I've been thinking that my lower animals are serving my higher animals. So they are kind of there to help assist the
Yeah.
animals higher up. I'm not sure I'm seeing it that way anymore. But anyways, let's use the old information because I'm OI.
Yes.
So, for example, my blast is being served by my sleep. So my sleep
Okay.
is kind of trying to solve things and understand things so that I can do a better blast. So in
Okay.
order to narrow things down for the tribe more
Uh,
efficiently, you know, motivating the tribe or helping them to understand more deeply so that they can achieve their goals.
yeah.
So my anti-sleep will be not as much about myself and my life in that
Oh,
regard. And I think that's actually a difference between the DE sleep savior and the DI sleep savior.
interesting.
Yeah, I think the DI sleep savior, that sleep will be very, you know,
Super introverted.
super introverted and
But with like Savior DE sleep, it's like you're sleeping for the
I'm,
sake of the
yeah,
extrovert.
I'm still going to use, you know, my basic human needs first, and that is to work for the tribe, not for myself.
Hmm.
So my
So
sleep will primarily be to understand things that, of course, I think they are interesting, these things. And
yes.
then so they align with my TI interests.
Yeah.
And I do get like, I get a spark, I get like a high when I understand things, as we do,
Yeah.
you know, saviors are like drugs. So the ultimate high would
Yes.
be for me to understand a concept on a very, very deep level, like
On a
NT.
fundamental level.
Yeah. Then I'm like, wow, this is
Yeah,
like
right.
the best thing that's happened in a while, you know.
Yeah,
And
me too.
then I want to use it. Yeah, you see? And then I want to use it for the tribe.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, it goes up to the blast right away, you know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because like you said, like the sleep is in service of the blast.
Hmm.
So like going off of that, so like we're both energy dumb. How
Yeah.
do you see like the play serving your sleep?
Yeah.
Do you see like you're like because like immediately when you said my sleep serves my blast, so I'll like do this NT conceptualization in my head for the sake of putting that into a blaster form or to like help other people DE. I
Yeah.
like because my sleep is third and my play is second, what,
Mhm.
like sometimes what I'll do is I'll come up with an NT sleep idea in order to like play more efficiently or something. So that's kind of like my sleep is like serving my play. Because like the savior obligation is to expend energy.
Mhm.
But because I'm energy dominant, I'm going to be trying to expend energy like, but well, both of us are going to be trying to like expend energy in like a healthy back and forth way where we're like also preserving energy like in the most efficient way. And so like
Mhm.
my sleep is like serving my play, but I'm just really
Mhm.
curious to see
That's
if there's a
interesting.
difference, if there's a difference for you with the sleep and play still being like right next to each other,
Mhm.
but like the play is in service of the sleep.
Yeah.
If you see
Yeah.
any differences.
Yeah, I think there is a difference. Was really interesting to hear your perspective on that. So you're kind of optimizing your place
Yeah.
so that it isn't too draining for you as an energy
Yes,
dom.
because
Yeah.
it's like I'm obligated to expend energy, and I'll find like if I don't do the sleep and I
Mm-hmm.
don't like plan ahead about how I'm going to expend energy because I like
Mm-hmm.
expending energy.
Mm-hmm.
But if I just kind of get carried away, double feminine play, and I just start expending energy left and right, it's like
Yeah.
I'll get exhausted and then I'll just burn myself out.
Yeah.
Whereas if I use the sleep in service of the
Mm-hmm.
play, when I do play, I'll get the most like bang for my buck.
Exactly. Oh, wow. Wow. That's an awesome insight.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so for
Sure.
me, it's a little bit different. So
Yeah.
basically, when I have been processing something for a while, and I kind of, hit rock bottom, I don't get any further. I will
Mm,
need to kind of test my theory, maybe you could say, or
yeah.
just get out there to get more information that I then later on can process.
Okay.
So I'm kind of gathering information for the sake of my sleep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
No, that makes total sense.
yeah.
So it's like it's like you hit like rock bottom. Like you've utilized the most that sleep can do. Like
Yeah.
you've gone over the known information
Hmm.
through a
To
thousand
death.
iterations.
Yeah.
Yeah, to death.
Hmm.
It's like the opposite problem of the OE or the play
Yeah.
savior.
Yeah.
Like you've spent so much time on this one subject
Hmm.
and it's getting like diminishing returns. And so it's like,
Hmm.
okay, now I'm just gonna like play and like is it like conversating with people and it's like getting a little
Yeah.
bit of extroverted information and then that
Yeah.
puts it into the NITI machine and then it like revs it up again.
Yeah. And it can be random play as well, because just being out there, because
Just random.
people, yeah, it is random. And people are, that's my interest. FE, people are
Yeah.
what I want to do, understand people, be with people, help them. I don't know. Sometimes I don't want to, but yeah, something like that.
Sleep
you know,
savior be like, yeah.
yeah, it's a push and pull for me, because exactly sometimes I don't want to. I want to be on my own. But anyways, the point is I'm interested in the human being, the human mind, the human brain. So for
Yeah.
me, play, it's interesting just in terms of interacting with humans.
Right.
Then of course, I mean, I'm still OI, so I don't enjoy doing just anything, but I'm quite open, I think, because I have the feminine NI, so it can go, in different directions.
Yeah. I was like, that's interesting having like half masculine play.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
Cause I'll go ahead.
kind of I want to experience new, and I want to, do it with people when I'm, at my third function, when I'm ready for it, so to speak, when I've done my OI, then I want to do it. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's
But
interesting,
it
and I like
but
it.
you're like doing the play in service of the sleep. Like
Hmm.
you've
Yeah.
exhausted. I really like that. You're like, I hit rock bottom with the sleep. It's like I've gotten so much intellectual theorizing about it, but like like there's only so much you can do with like the same thing. It's
Yeah.
like now I'm just gonna like pick up random from the
Yeah.
extrovert in order to fit that into the NITI.
Exactly. Then I can
That's
pick
so
from
crazy.
that random information that I have gotten, and then I can kind of put it into my OI, see where it fits, and build on that.
Hmm.
Now I have something to work with again.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy because like the opposite problem for me is like there's too much information, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like trying to find the NI through all this crazy fucking chaos that I've gone through. It's
Mm-hmm.
like oh, there is a concept, like, or there is like a conceptual framework. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, I've been ignoring that this whole time, and it's like, in like the consume play, it's just, yeah, it's just very skibby, like onto the next thing, onto the next thing, onto the next thing, and like just like taking in the sensory, and like just kind of doing that random shit with other people, like
Mm-hmm.
especially with the play, just like, oh, you want to do this, oh, you want to do this, oh, we want to go expend energy doing this, and just not really like putting any of that experience into like a framework in order to like produce something, if
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, that's an interesting problem. Wow.
Yeah,
It sounds
yeah, it's like,
stressful, super
yeah, no,
stressful.
because I'm technically an introvert, but like I'm still like
Mm.
extroverted in the sense of like the SE is very busy. Like I resonate with like being an introvert, but I also resonate with like the SE is just like very overactive. And
Yeah.
it's like it's like gathering too many statistics, too many facts, that it's like it's like just you literally have like this pile of tabs on your computer. Like
Mm.
where's the through line? Where's the connection to it all? It's like, I don't
Yeah.
know, I just want to keep gathering random things and like on to the next thing. It's like, no, no, Gus, what are you
Yeah.
doing? And
Yeah.
but yeah, but that's kind of been like the struggle.
Mm. Yeah, it's interesting also to have like the animals, like both you and I, we have like every second animal is extroverted and then introverted. So
The
um
back and forth.
yeah, the back and forth, and also on top of that being energy dom. It's kind of interesting, I think.
Yeah, like I feel like the people who have like play blast right next to each other, they kind of
Mm-hmm.
have like this like concentration of energy. It's like,
Yeah.
just like Dave is like an introvert in the sense of like, I'm like in my sleep world in a savior state, but it's like he's like said before, like, oh, we're blasting. Oh, okay, we're blasting now. Okay, now let's play. It's like once
Yeah.
you get into that blast, it's like a real quick transition
Mm-hmm.
into the higher energy of play.
Mm-hmm.
Or like people who have like play blast, it's just like a lot of energy up front. And then like the contrary to that would be like
The mopes.
people, yeah, the people,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, the people who have like like sleep consume. It's like,
Mm.
or like you could say like, yeah, like the real like crazy one to me is just like play consume sleep. It's like you're upfront about
Yeah.
exhausting yourself, but then like
Yeah.
you're like you want to retreat into your inner world
Mm-hmm.
immediately. It's like you're upfront in a savior state, expending
Mm-hmm.
energy,
Yeah.
being a crackhead. But then it's like once you start consuming, once you start like learning, then you immediately want to go into the process world,
Mm-hmm.
instead of like the other way around where it would be like sleep consume play. That, or
Yeah.
that's or yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's like this push and pull. Like for me, I get started and then I kind of
Mhm.
have to hit the brakes right away
Oh
with the
wow,
sleep, you
that's
know?
it's so funny. It's so what? So like you get
Yeah.
started, extrovert, start
Mm-hmm.
talking, and
Mm-hmm.
immediate it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
Just like
Yeah.
slow down. Let me think about this. Yeah. That's interesting because I guess for me, that same thing, it would be like I'm consuming something that I immediately have to like talk to someone about it.
That makes more sense to me. Like you
Yeah,
actually have something to share, you know?
yeah, right. Or well, it's almost like in like we're learning about something new, like in
Mm-hmm.
class, let's say, and then like I'm learning, and then I immediately like want to have a conversation, like we're learning about it. It's like, okay, well, like, and then like I want to interject, whereas like the consume sleep, like a like Billie Eilish or something, it's like they're learning
Mm-hmm.
and then they just want to process
Yeah.
it. It's like that, and it's like it's that super low energy, like a learning process, or the
Mm.
other way, like process learn, and it's
Yeah.
that's very fascinating. But yeah, the consume play is,
It's fascinating. Yeah.
yeah,
Wow. Yeah, this has been so interesting to get to know your
yeah,
yeah, get to know you and your functions and your stack because it's
I would say likewise.
yeah, it's eye-opening, so to speak, when you have, opposite functions and and yeah, not exactly opposite, but at least the opposite animal stack.
Yeah, you could say we're one coin off from being complete inverse.
Opposite, yeah, yeah. If you would
Yeah.
be or I would be the other modality, yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
I think it's or keep going, yeah.
yeah. So no, nothing. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I thought it's like really interesting to find people who are like different variations of your opposite.
Mm,
Because like, you know, like if I am like I've like interacted with a double feminine INFJ, and it's
mm,
like we can like really relate because we have the exact same axes. So it's like
yeah.
we have the same problems of masculine NI, feminine SE, and masculine TI
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
feminine FE. So like we really like get each other. And then it
Mm-hmm.
would be like a different type of transformative learning experience for me to like say like interact with like a double masculine, because it's
Yeah.
like their worldview is like kind of completely opposite. It's like
Mm-hmm.
we have like there's some similarity in the access of like the basic ball game that we're playing,
Mm-hmm.
but like what they fight with is like the play or like the extrovert, and they
Yeah.
just have like they have an opposite energy problem. Like my energy problem is when I get into the sleep, it's a deep self sleep, very self-reflective.
Yeah.
Whereas for them, like even if they have play demon, when they do get into that double masculine play, it would be a different, it would be the complete opposite of introvert. It would be
Mm.
masculinely extroverted. And then also like looking at the variations of like audio visual that are the opposite of your type. And then
Yeah.
getting a nice kind of like well-rounded, like getting each of the four perspectives on the opposite of your type, because there's
Mm-hmm.
many different types of opposites that you can have.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. There are so many layers to
Yeah,
this system. Yeah, I'm thinking of like one last question.
sure.
You're mentioning now that you're fighting your double masculine. It's towards self or in the inner world, as
Yes.
opposed to the double masculines who have the SF play, so they are fighting on the outside, so to
Yeah,
speak.
they're literally punching people.
Punching, yeah, punching. And maybe you are punching, but no one sees it. You're punching yourself, kind of.
Oh,
Yeah.
you just wanted to go into that?
Yeah, a little bit. Like, because um I guess that can be helpful in a way, in the sense that you can actually put a lot of pressure on self and achieve goals if you really
Hmm.
want to,
Hmm.
despite being OE or whatever challenges you may have.
Hmm.
So that's an interesting one. But then I'm also guessing that there should be kind of a balance between that and being also maybe on the verge to self-destructive, you know?
Yeah, so this is, yeah, I would say this would be a pretty good last question, or like, because this gets pretty deep, but
Mm-hmm.
I have struggled with like a lot of inner darkness, a lot of self-critical, self-destructive thoughts and tendencies in my
Mm-hmm.
past that I really do feel like I've overcome and transfigured into a more healthy perspective. But I think the 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 struggle with that double masculine sleep is really like the near impossible self standard that comes from the masculine DI, and then also like the masculine OI of like very rigorous on, I guess, like the procedure of like how you're organized and like how my inner world is organized. And I guess like if you just like flip it one tick to like masculine TI SI, it's like they're building like this like physical machine, and like they're very like conscious of like where everything is, and like how, and like the machine is like it's metal, so like it could hurt you. And so it's masculine, and so it's like it's this very intricate like and masculine SITI very deep thing or whatever. And then you flip that tick back to N, and it's like the conceptual model I have in my head is very like aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
And like just it's the exact opposite of like double masculine play. Like again, like I was talking about like the masculine TE turned inward. It's like you like take all that like masculine OE energy and just like really like condense it inward. And to me, it's just like when you do get into that sleep, it's very as it would be different if it was a savior, I think. Like it's just like one tick off again. Like if I was consume sleep play, it would be like a very noticeable difference. Like, oh no, you're sleeping, you're double masculine, but you're doing it in a savior state. So you're like you have some healthy access to the masculine NI. Like you're using the masculine NI in a savior state. But like because it's third for me and I don't have any savior activation of the masculine NI, when I'm using both my masculine functions, it like kind of comes at it has the potential to come out unhealthily and like overly self-critical. I would say with the masculine OI, there's almost like a tendency to like over clean everything or like cleanse everything, just like make everything like completely 100% overly ordered. And but like instead of applying that to like SI, where that would be like masculine SI on crack would like clean every single inch of your house, you know, just like sweep, brush, mop everything, dust everything off, just make sure it's like super organized and clean. The NI is like how you think about things and how you perceive things better be aligned with reality. And it's like there's almost like this demand that with the masculine NI that like how I perceive the functions or how I perceive the patterns and the abstractions better be correct. And it's like, and I also like I was talking about like philosophy, I'm getting really into ontology, which is just the study of knowledge. Like, what do we know? How do we know that we know things? Like, can we know for certainty some things? And I feel that really connects with like the masculine OI. Like, what do I know? Like, what is my knowledge? Do I know it? How do I know that I know it? Like, is there any verifiability that this is something true or real? And it's like the masculine TI would be like, you're horrible, you suck at everything. And the masculine OI is like, you know nothing. Like you think you know something, you don't know anything. And like that gets very scary because it's like, I haven't been paying attention to the intuition at all. And so it's like, like hearing the masculine NI talk to me, like the in its demon state is like, you are ignorant, you know nothing. And it's like, it gets very critical. But I would say like for the glimmer of hope, like you gotta like expose yourself to a little bit of tension in order to grow. You know, like you're working out, you're not going to grow your muscles by making your muscles comfortable. You know, when you're like doing pull-ups, your muscles are tearing at the micro level, but then they're growing because of that tear. They're like, oh, he's experiencing turmoil. We better grow so that we can match the level of adversity that he's facing. And so if you're facing no adversity in the inner world, then the inner world will not grow to meet that level of turmoil. And so it's like you're being upfront with like the level of hardship that you place on the self standards. And so that has a lot of potential for a lot of self growth and like building my NI framework for whatever it is. You just got to be careful to not overextend and not you know, like I do know some things, you know, I have put some time into, you know, like gathering consume information and then putting it into an NI framework that I know and that I can say to other people or that I can use for myself to more efficiently organize my time or my energy. Like I do know some things with my NI, but then like the negativity of it would be like, you're ignorant, you don't know anything, you're completely blind. You know, like that's like the real deep, dark demon side of it, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, it can become totally um yeah, it can swing basically. It can be very
Yeah.
not confident or maybe even very overconfident in the other state.
Yes. Yeah, it's like it's either yeah, or like I see that with like the TI or like taking it to the stream, like the lead TIs, like they're like super confident in themselves. And it's like that's great. Like, wow, you're like super confident in yourself and you have a lot of like self-respect, but then that can also turn into like, wow, you're a little too confident.
Yeah. Right.
whoa, like you should not be that confident about whatever
Mm,
you're doing or something. And so it's
mm,
like it's based on the context, like are you doing it in a healthy way? And
yeah.
it's kind of hard to decipher, it's on a case by case basis. And you have to look at the sensory, and you have to look at the patterns, and you have to look at all the aspects in order to
Yeah.
correctly analyze whether or not you're using a function healthily or like in a balanced state or not.
Do you have any, say there is someone out here listening who is
Ooh,
also, working with this, struggling maybe with this animal double masculine version, how to make it healthy? Do you have any thoughts on it? Any
yeah.
tips?
So any advice I would
Yeah,
give
yeah,
to
basically,
a,
yeah.
a double masculine
Mm-hmm.
NITI or
Yeah,
someone who's struggling with balancing that?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So put on my blaster cap.
Yeah. Let's hear
I would,
it.
yeah, yeah. I would say that, like you have to, like you have to have a goal. You have to have a self standard. And it's like pick one and stick with that. Because like part of the sleep is like not it, like as opposed to the OE, which always wants new, novelty, different. The
Mm,
OI is like, no, 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 no. Slow down, pick one at a time.
yeah.
And what I found really helps is, like using my NITI to consume in a healthy way, which is like I pick an NI category that I'm also TI interested in. And then I'm allowed to consume a lot of information in that category, like a certain category of philosophy, say. And then I read a lot of journals that apply to that NI category. And
Mm,
what you're doing is you're condensing all that OE information that you've gathered into an OI framework. But it starts with you picking one. And I think that I would say like that is like if I had to give a blaster lesson, it would be like to like someone who's struggling with like the sleep, is it's like you really do got to like put on the brakes to your life. Um, I've found a lot of benefit in meditation. I know a lot of people like say like they struggle with like just sitting down and like just being present in the present moment and just meditating. And maybe it's not for you. I would like if it is for you, I would like see if it maybe is, because I found a lot of benefit from doing nothing, just being present,
interesting. Yeah.
not thinking, not trying, not trying to stop thinking,
Mm-hmm.
not trying to do anything.
Yeah.
And that's where I found a lot of peace with like the sleep of like meditation,
Mm,
because what you're doing is you're slowing down and you're giving yourself space to do the NITI. It's like before you even like think about organizing or theorizing, just like masculine sleep, slow down, stop, and just like
yeah.
do nothing. And I would say that space that you get in like meditation really opens you up to see correctly
Mm,
and utilize your energy in a healthy way. So yeah, that's what I would say. It's like pick one thing, slow down, do one thing at a time.
yeah. Wow. That is yeah, basically the same process. If you're going to physical sleep, you need to do something similar. You need to wind down. You need to, you
Slow
know,
down.
slow down, put on the brakes, all the things you're saying.
And like someone who's like sleep last, they might like someone who's like double masculine NITI sleep last.
Mm.
Like you might see what like if we're using a car analogy, because cars are just like for some reason such good analogies for human beings.
Yeah.
It would literally be like you're going 80 miles per hour on the highway, and then you pull the brake,
Mm.
and then you screech to a halting 0 miles per hour. And
Yeah.
it's like, whoa, no, 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 no.
No,
Like
that doesn't
that
work.
and like sometimes that happens to people, like
Mm.
everything just comes crashing down. It's like no more extrovert at all. It's like sleep. And then it's like uncomfortable. It's like I was going 80 miles per hour, now I'm going zero. It's
Yeah.
like with like if I did have sleep blast, like if I was consume play blast sleep, like that's what would happen. But what I find with like the sleep being right next to the play is that like I'll get revved up, I'll
Mhm.
like start going kind of fast, and then I'll just like slam on the brakes.
Yeah,
But I'm not going 80, I was going like 40 or something, you know? Like I
then
was
it
like kind of
works.
I was kind of revving up, and then I was like, whoa, 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 slow down. And then go back and then doing that again. But it's just that process of continually refining, like getting maybe to 30 miles per hour next week, going to 20 miles per hour next week, instead of slamming the brakes down on 80 miles per hour. It's like, like you
Yeah.
said, with like literally physically sleeping, you can't just go from, like running around, dancing, extrovert energy, and then just
Mhm.
fall asleep.
No,
There's like a process of like, you gotta like wind down,
exactly.
and you
Yeah,
gotta like slowly ease on that brakes. So yeah, that I would say that that's a great recommendation. It's like slowly putting on that brake pedal.
that's super, super good. Super nice. I like this advice, and I think everyone can apply it. I mean, regardless of what functions we have,
Yeah,
it's a good one, especially these days. I mean, life can be chaotic, and the world around us is rather chaotic. And to be able to do that is an advantage, I would say, for anyone.
if other people aren't doing it and you get some benefit from it, then that's all the better that it does to you, because
Mm,
it can be beneficial for everyone. But if a lot of people aren't doing it, and then you kind of figure out like, hey, whoa, if I like sleep, slow down,
mm.
now I'm kind of ahead of other people. And it's like you can almost use it as like a utilitarian uh argument, as a competitive, like type of way of saying, like, if you put the time in to actually sleep and slow down, you'll get ahead of other people
Yeah,
who are
right.
just fumbling around doing extrovert energy nonstop. And so it's
Yeah.
like, if you actually do, like, because like we're talking about like sleep demon, if
Mm,
you do actually put that time into the sleep, with all the demons, if you put the
mhm.
time into the demon, you'll actually be able to do your play and your saviors better,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
then you'll be able to do both.
Back to the comparing SE spectrum, you get ahead of the others.
Yeah, or yeah, well, yeah, that's like double masculine SF.
Mm,
Like it's like you'll be more valuable if you actually sleep, you know?
yeah.
You will have a competitive advantage. So it's like there's inherent benefit in sleeping to the sleep, but there's also benefit in sleeping to the play, which is like kind of
Yeah.
not that's not initially, you don't see that initially. You like see like sleep is beneficial to sleep, obviously, but like it also, it provides more room for you to play in a healthy
Hmm.
manner.
Yeah, exactly. Wow, cool. And the final last question.
Last, last, last,
The
last.
very last.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I just saw that um you have one truth instead of three truths, something like that. It was from the Kendrick interview. I think he compared you to Lewis House. Do you remember
Yeah,
that? Yeah.
yeah,
And he asked you if you have three truths, and you said you'd prefer to have one.
yeah. Like,
So
cause like
which,
three is
yeah,
three is just like obnoxious. Like, just pick one, you know?
exactly. Yeah. One NI is enough.
Yes.
So what would your current one be then?
Okay. I'm actually gonna like actually come up with one and not just bullshit say I haven't thought about it, because I have kind of thought about. Um, I don't know. This, because this is kind of hard, because it is like blast. It's like taking all of the OE and the DI and the DE that I've gone through in life, and condensing it into like one singular. And
Hmm.
it's like almost like the pain of the EP. It's like, not just one, but it's like, no, 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 you do just gotta give one. So it the question is like, what is my one truth?
I want to hear more about the pain thing. Yeah. How does it tie into that one truth? The EP pain.
Oh, um like the pain to the EP would be simplifying.
Oh
Like they
yeah.
like
Oh yeah,
like
yeah.
in a savior state, in a crack addicted drug state, they want it to be diverse and complicated.
Okay,
Like
okay, yeah.
OE is like inherently like novel. new, complicated. It wants like it's very any like
all the
there's
time.
always a different connection. It's like, no. There's not always different. There can be one overarching thing. So yeah, so that's what I would say the pain of the EP is like condensing and narrowing down to singular or simplified instead of complex, because the OE loves complexity. I would say my one truth has to do with the idea of equilibrium, and coming into alignment with oneself, being in alignment with who you are, but also having your functions be in alignment with each other. I've done a lot of research into chemistry, and like there's a lot of formulas that govern laws of equilibrium, and like how things are not, it's not just like you're having TI by itself and you're having FE by itself. It's like now you're having TI and FE, and they're in this constant like flow back and forth. And what it looks like is that it's static, because what equilibrium is that these two things are like they're at peace, basically. Like for me, the double decider, the natural equilibrium within me is the double deciderness. It's the TI and the FE are naturally flowing into each other back and forth, so that it looks like they're happening at the same time. And that's like, and there's a lot of different sensory chemical things that happen in equilibrium where it looks like nothing's happening, but there's actually like a very constant flow going on. And I think that NI concept I see as very deeply TI true, of look in your life for where can you come into equilibrium with the environment, with other people, relationships, like, or when are you out of equilibrium? When are you overdoing something? Are you over consuming? Are you, are you oversimplifying? Are you, DEDI, are you being too much of a selfish asshole? Are you being too martyr-like? Are you sacrificing yourself completely at the expense of the tribe? Like, where are you out of equilibrium? Where is there no balance? I in Zodiac, I'm a Libra, and I very much resonate with the imagery of the scales of there it being a constant back and forth equilibrium and balance between opposites, because opposites and polarities don't exist without each other.
Exactly.
Light and dark, feeling and thinking. You can't have feeling without thinking.
It's the same coin.
It is, it's like people get worked up when you say like they are the same thing. Like light and dark are one. It's not, you literally can't have darkness without light. Like a shadow is caused by something blocking light. And so you have to look at like opposites as an axis, like a scale. And where is the scale tipping out of balance? Because I wouldn't be quick to say imbalance is bad, but things out of alignment, I would say, are bad. Like, if you're coming into alignment with reality, that is like the highest truth. So that would be my one truth: balance and equilibrium in all aspects of life.
Wow, that's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Gus.
Of course, yeah.
That gave me a lot to sleep process for the rest of the evening here.
Sorry.
Yeah, no. I will enjoy it. It's really interesting.
Oh, good.
I've been thinking about similar things myself, so it aligns with my OI as well. So thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me to come on here.
Yeah.
As was it your 16th interview?
Yeah, my 16th episode of Beta Talks. And I'm so thankful that you wanted to come. And yeah, it was nice to get to know you a little bit more.
Yeah, you as well.